my name is Lucas Sokol-Oxman. I'm a Peace Corps response volunteer that has been assigned to work with the Caribbean Vulnerabilized Communities Coalition, specifically supporting the organizations they support as an umbrella organization in their ability to conduct research and document the activities and projects they undertake. So in adding to the research video that we made, we decided that it was a good idea to add the importance of documentation when managing a project in its planning, implementation, the planning and preparation, then the implementation, and finally the evaluation of how successful it was. I guess I'll start off with the reasons for why documentation is important for project management. The first would be if you were to hand over the process when you hand over to a new program manager, if you have been documenting what's been going on, it makes that process a lot easier. Documentation also helps in allowing for less repetition to take place when you're addressing issues that reappear for every project, no matter what it's about. Even if it's on a different subject matter, certain issues may reappear and they're more easily addressed when there's documentation that has been taking place. Documentation also reduces the amount of communication overhead, so it's kind of similar to the repetition thing I just mentioned. So it just makes everything more streamlined and efficient. And then lastly, when you document your project well, you can use it as sort of a basis for future projects in terms of like best practice. So you can learn from mistakes or success that you've had in the past, and when you're looking through the documentation, it will allow easy understanding of what worked and what didn't. So the process of documentation is not only keeping track of what the results you came up with after your project, but also throughout its preparation and implementation. So you want to look at the analysis you make, the different processes that you've used and methodologies that are the basis of your approach to how you're conducting your project, and then also keeping track of key decisions that are made along the way. And then once you compile all of that information and knowledge, you disseminate it to the different key stakeholders using the means that is most appropriate for the target audience you want to inform. So in order to reach the wide range of stakeholders you hope to, you want to identify the appropriate way of documenting your project approach, results, and lessons learned along the way. Some of the stakeholders you'll be wanting to think about are the target community of the project, the local government and civil society organizations in the project area, and then, when necessary, also considering the more general community of institutions like multilateral organization decision makers, international NGOs, and research institutions that may find your project interesting or valuable. And also, you might use other countries who face similar adaptation challenges as reference for your own project. In order to reach the broad range of stakeholders you want to grab, it requires a range of different methods for project documentation, like the format that you will want to disseminate that information. It could take many different forms, like a report or a journal article, a presentation, or an audiovisual material. It really depends on which institution it is you want, or way you want the information to be reported. Keeping in mind also that documentation has to take into consideration the audience, their information and knowledge needs, and the most appropriate way, given that context of messaging and communicating methods in order to reach them most appropriately and effectively.